After 3 long years apart, a millionaire's incredible journey reveals his hidden love for his wife. Jake Sullivan had it all figured out, or so he thought. In the quaint town of Maplewood, his essence was woven into the very fabric of the vibrant community. The clatter of wrenches and the warm buzz of friendly faces filled his days at the family auto repair shop, where every oil change and tire rotation felt like a piece of his heart. But the bittersweet tug of Emily, his adventurous high school sweetheart, echoed louder with each passing day. She dreamt of exploring the world, but Jake couldn't leave his roots. Then came the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity in Chicago, a project so glamorous it shimmered like the city skyline. With hope in his chest and uncertainty in his veins, he made the excruciating decision to leave Maplewood behind, convinced it would lead to a brighter future for them both. 3 long years passed, filled with the sterile glow of the corporate world far removed from the grease-stained overalls he once wore. Jake became another cog in the high-speed machine of wealth and success, but as the ratings soared, so did the loneliness. His heart ached for the laughter shared at the local diner and the warmth of Emily's hand in his. Back in Maplewood, Emily navigated the bittersweet currents of life without him. Every pumpkin festival felt like a sting. Each town parade was colored with memories of their dreams, now fading into the shadows of what could have been. Friends and family offered comfort, but the void Jake left behind was painfully profound. Did he ever think of her? Did their love still linger in his memories? But then a crisis struck. A devastating flood ravaged Maplewood. Suddenly, the town became a canvas of compassion, neighbors helping neighbors amidst the chaos. Jake watched from a distance as news of the devastation flooded his world, tugging at the very core of his being. The flashing lights of the city dimmed as he realized he had traded authenticity for status, lost in a world that felt less like home with each passing day. The struggle etched on the faces of desperate families rekindled memories of laughter and love he had taken for granted. One pivotal night, under a blanket of stars, the weight of his choices bore down on him. The glitz and glamour began to fade, replaced by an aching need to return home, to face Emily and the love he had neglected. As he drove back through the familiar roads of Maplewood, memories flooded in like a roaring tide, each mile intensifying his longing. Could he bridge the chasm created by 3 years of silence? Would Emily still love him, or had he lost her forever? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Jake pulled over, heart racing, just outside of town. The golden sunset cast a warm light, signaling second chances. He gathered every bit of courage, poised to step out and reclaim his past. Just then, his phone buzzed, lighting up with a message. It was Emily. The warmth in his chest faded slightly into apprehension. What did it say? Would this be the moment he had longed for? Or had he lost her forever in pursuit of dreams that slipped away like the day's last light? Jake swallowed hard, fingers trembling over his phone. He hesitated, contemplating whether to read Emily's message. Memories of their laughter, late-night talks, and dreams shared washed over him. He had left believing he was advancing their future, but in truth, he had been running away from the one thing that mattered most. This moment felt monumental, the kind that could redefine everything between them. With a deep breath, he opened the text. His heart dropped at the sight of the words, "Jake, I don't know if you'll ever come back, but I just wanted you to know Maplewood is strong. We're rebuilding. It hurts, but we're surviving. I miss you." Jake's chest clenched. The simplicity of her message cut through the noise of regret and guilt. Surviving, he barely registered that word at first. It echoed in his mind, as if revealing a truth he had been too blind to see. He had fought for success, but at what cost? The thought of Emily standing alone amidst the devastation ached like a wound. Did she really think he wouldn't come back? Suddenly, The town's vibrant spirit flared to life in his mind, a tapestry of love and connection stitched together by faces he had known his whole life. He could almost hear the sounds of Maplewood, the rustle of leaves, spirited community events, and the comforting tones of familiar laughter filling the air. Determination ignited in him. He slammed the car door shut, letting the weight of regret fall away with it. Jake was not just returning to Maplewood. He was coming back to Emily, to find a way to heal what he had broken, to reclaim their love and the dreams he had lost along the way. Driving into town, he could see the remnants of the flood's devastation, families with exhausted faces, friends coming together. All around him, he witnessed resilience, the essence of community like a symphony that filled the air. Yet, what caught his eye was not merely the damage but also the strength radiating from the townsfolk. They stood together, shoulder to shoulder, ready to rise above the chaos. He parked in front of the diner, the glow of its neon sign flickering like a lighthouse guiding him home. Jake stepped inside, the familiar scent of fried foods and freshly brewed coffee wrapping around him. The chatter was a soothing chorus, but his heart raced for another reason. He needed to see Emily. She was there, seated at their usual booth, eyes lost in thought as she stared out the window. The sight of her caused Jake's breath to hitch. There she was, a beautiful ache, embodying everything he had longed for during his years away. He hesitated, the fear of rejection looming over him. Did he have any right to approach her? Then their eyes met, and time seemed to freeze. Emily's expression flickered between surprise and hurt. "Jake," she whispered, standing abruptly. The lump in his throat was immense as he took a step forward, bringing them face to face again after years apart. He began, voice cracking under the weight of emotion. "I'm back." But the moment felt fragile, full of unsaid words and unhealed wounds. The noise of the diner faded into the backdrop, leaving only the raw intensity of their connection. Would they find a way back to one another, or had they drifted too far apart? Jake realized this was just the beginning. There were bridges to rebuild, apologies to be made, and perhaps a chance for a love rekindled. Would Emily be willing to open her heart once more? As he stood there, filled with hope and uncertainty, he saw her expression shift, something stirring deep within her eyes. And then the bell above the door jingled again, prompting Jake to glance over. A figure stood silhouetted against the late afternoon light, a person from their past he never expected to see. What had he just walked into? The moment could change everything. Jake's heart raced as he turned to see who had walked in. The sunlight poured through the diner door, casting a glow over the figure. His breath caught as recognition dawned. It was Sarah, the girl from high school who had moved away years ago and taken with her not just memories, but parts of their past that Jake had thought long closed. What's she doing here? He wondered, eyebrows knitting together as he shoved his hands into his pockets. He suddenly felt a rush of insecurity as he stood there, caught between the warmth of Emily's presence and the wave of surprise that surged through him at Sarah's return. "Jake?" Emily's voice pulled him back, softer than he remembered, but laced with uncertainty. She was watching him intently, and his heart sank at the flicker of jealousy he saw cross her features. It's Sarah?" he stammered, motioning toward the door where Sarah stood, an uncertain smile on her face. Emily's brows drew together as she turned to look at the newcomer. There was a tension in the air now, alive with unspoken words. Jake could feel the weight of Emily's gaze on him, her unease palpable. It wasn't just Sarah's return that unsettled the moment, but the question lingering in the diner with them. Could he ever find his way back to Emily without the ghosts of the past haunting them? "Wow, fancy running into you here," Sarah said, stepping closer, her eyes bright but searching as if she was testing the waters of their old friendship. "Yeah, it's been a while," Jake replied awkwardly, glancing from Sarah to Emily, who stood still, arms crossed, her expression unreadable but tight. "Can we talk?" Sarah asked, addressing Jake with an urgency that caught him off guard. Jake glanced at Emily again, and he could see the tempest of emotions swirling within her. This wasn't what he had pictured. The moment of reconnecting with Emily should have been simple, filled with joy and relief. not shrouded in this confusion. But then again, nothing about the last 3 years had been simple. "Can it wait?" he heard himself say, his voice firmer than he felt. "I just got back." "Jake," Emily interjected, the weight of her voice full of careful deliberation. "If she has something to say, maybe we should hear her out." "No," he interjected, desperation tinging his words. I need time. You both mean so much to me. I don't want to hurt anyone." "I'm not here to hurt anyone," Sarah asserted, her eyes wide, ready to clarify whatever her presence meant. But Jake could see an edge of uncertainty in her stance as well. I didn't know you were back. We have a lot of history." The word hung in the air, heavy with implications. Emily's expression shifted, an inner struggle playing across her face as just beneath the surface. They all knew what history felt like, the bittersweet sting of old flames and faded promises. "What do you want, Sarah?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper, searching her expression as his pulse quickened. Before she could answer, Emily took a step forward, eyes fierce with determination. "This town is trying to heal, Jake. We all are. It doesn't mean we have to rehash old wounds. Is that what this is to you?" Sarah challenged gently, but her voice carried the tremor of doubt. "Wounds that never healed?" Jake felt trapped in the crossfire of their emotions, the weight of his choices pressing down harder than it ever had before. He didn't want to hurt Emily, didn't want to force the past to bleed into their new beginning. But the vibrant memory of Sarah's laughter haunted him, reminding him of the paths he could have taken. In that moment, the diner felt stifling, filled with the noise of clinking cutlery and distant laughter. Yet all he could hear was the muted echo of missed opportunities and the urgent ticking of time. He needed to choose, but how could he when both women held pieces of his heart? As he opened his mouth to find the words, the bell above the door rang again, drawing all of their attention to a new arrival, and the realization hit him somewhere close by. The tension of the past was intersecting with the hopes of the future. Who else had come to reclaim their place in this unfolding story? Jake barely registered the sound of the bell. His mind was racing with thoughts of Sarah and Emily, two pieces of his past colliding in a way he never imagined. He instinctively turned, trying to brace himself for whoever was about to enter. A familiar figure stepped inside, shaking off the chill of the late afternoon air. It was Mark, Jake's childhood friend, the one person who always understood him. Mark's eyes scanned the diner before landing on Jake, and in an instant, the usual light-hearted bear hug turned into something more hesitant as he noticed the tense atmosphere. "Hey, buddy, didn't think you'd be back so soon?" Mark said, his jovial tone dropping when he saw the palpable tension. He shot a questioning glance at Emily and Sarah, both standing like statues, caught in their emotional web. "Yeah? Well, long story," Jake muttered, forcing a smile in an attempt to ease the discomfort. Mark's presence was comforting, but Jake couldn't shake the feeling that he was inviting more chaos by adding an old friend to the mix. "Mind if I join?" Mark asked, already sliding into the booth across from Jake, oblivious to the storm brewing in the corner. "I heard the coffee here is still terrible, but at least the company's great, right? What are you doing here?" Jake asked as he waved the waiter over, feeling pressed to turn the attention away from the women. A part of him wanted Mark to lighten the mood. Another part just wanted to disappear into the walls. "I was in town for some business." Mark shrugged and leaned back. His gaze flicked between Sarah and Emily, a knowing look on his face that made Jake's stomach twist. "Seems like a family reunion." "Huh?" Emily, her arms still crossed, finally relaxed a bit at Mark's arrival, but did little to hide her frustration. "It's more complicated than that," she said quietly, her voice softer now but still firm. Sarah took a tentative step towards the booth, her expression filled with a mix of hope and unease. "It is complicated," she agreed, glancing at Jake for support. "There are things we need to discuss." "I think maybe we should all talk," Mark suggested, his voice steady though the atmosphere was charged with unresolved feelings. "Jake, you never got to tell us why you left so suddenly 3 years ago. Maybe now is the time?" Jake's heart raced at the idea. Emily's eyes were locked on him, silently pleading. while Sarah's gaze was full of unspoken words, history interwoven with the present. Did he want to rewind to that moment? Was it the right time? He began, but the words caught in his throat. Would dredging up old memories help anything? Or would it only bring more hurt? Jake, please, Emily urged. This isn't just about old times. It's about understanding what happened and why we're all tangled here together now. Jake felt the weight of their stares, the uncomfortable mix of hope and fear weighing down on him. He had always been the one who faced his past head-on. But now, staring into the faces of both women, he wasn't so sure he was ready. Out of nowhere, a distant crash interrupted the moment a group of teenagers had burst through the door, laughing and whooping, completely unaware of the delicate situation that had taken a nosedive. They rushed past, knocking over a chair, the sound breaking Jake's trance. His mind swirled as he noticed the jovial young faces, bright with laughter, and in that moment, something clicked. Life continued to move, whether he was ready to step forward or not. He could no longer pretend that he was in control of the past. The moment felt critical, charged, as notions of love and loss played out around him. Jake turned to Sarah. "All right," he said, steeling himself as he met her gaze. "What is it you need to say?" The question hung in the diner, heavy with possibility. Could this be the moment things started to piece together? But at that moment, as Sarah opened her mouth to speak, what would come out could change everything. Jake's heart pounded as Sarah's lips parted. But no sound came out, just a breath unfurling in the air. For a split second, everything felt suspended, a fragile web about to be torn. Emily's gaze flicked between the two of them, the anticipation thick enough to slice. "Take your time," Mark said softly, his encouraging smile tempered by the seriousness of the moment. Sarah swallowed hard, her eyes glistening with a mixture of fear and resolve. "Jake, when you left 3 years ago, there was so much left unsaid. I need you to know that I've thought about it every day since." Her voice quivered, and she took a step closer to the booth, the tension in the air starting to feel electric. Emily shifted in her seat, her expression a blend of frustration and curiosity. "We all need to know, Jake. Trust me when I say it's important. If we can understand where we went wrong, maybe we can what?" Jake interrupted, the frustration spilling over. It felt like a dam had broken within him, old memories stirring like ghosts waiting to be acknowledged. Fix everything? Make it all go back to how it was? He ran a hand through his hair, the anxiety washing over him. "You both deserve better than my sorry excuses. No one wants to fix the past," Emily said, her voice trembling with urgency. "We just want what, Emily?" Jake shot back, heat rising in his chest. "You want me to explain why I left without saying goodbye? Why I never called? Who I was running from?" The words spilled out, too sharp and real. Mark sat quietly, a soft observer, sensing the brewing storm. A nearby couple glanced over, curious but hesitant to intrude. "Jake, just listen," Sarah pleaded, her voice breaking. "You were running from yourself, from us. But I need you to know that I have feelings for you still." If you could just. The weight of her admission hit him like a freight train. Memories washed over him, the laughter, the late-night conversations, the feeling of not quite being whole without her. A flood of warmth mixed with a pang of regret suffused his heart. Emily's expression shifted, a flicker of pain flashing across her face as she touched Jake's arm, grounding him. "I don't want to compete for your feelings, Jake. I just want to understand the truth." "Truth?" he echoed, grappling with the implications of that word. It felt like a heavy stone rolling atop his chest. "I didn't think I had any left to give. I thought leaving was the only way to protect you both." But as he said it, a part of him knew it was a lie. Running away never protected anyone. It only left open wounds. Before they could delve deeper, a sudden scuffle at the entrance snapped their focus. One of the teenagers from earlier, loud and rowdy, had fallen backward onto their table, sending a soda spilling across the floor. Jake instinctively laughed, the absurdity of it pulling him momentarily from the heavy weight of his heart. Mark held up his hands. "Okay, why don't we all grab some fresh coffee to go with this chaos? A little distraction might help." He was trying hard to lighten the atmosphere, but the gravity of their conversation hung in the air as thick as the coffee aroma. Jake shook his head, realizing he couldn't run anymore. No, that's not what we need. He looked back at Sarah and Emily, locking eyes with each. We need to finish this. We need to face whatever it is that's been holding us back. Mark nodded, understanding the intensity of the moment but still unsure how to navigate it. All right then, let us talk. Whatever it is, we'll work through it together. As silence reigned around them, Jake felt the intensity build again, a moment teetering on the brink of clarity or chaos. He had staked a claim on vulnerability, and there was no turning back from it now. With a deep breath, he faced Sarah, his heart racing anew. So you have feelings for me? What does that even mean in all of this? What do you want from me? As she opened her mouth to respond, a hint of uncertainty danced in her eyes. It was a question that could unravel everything or bind them together. But before Sarah could answer, an unexpected figure appeared at the door, waving frantically. Jake, you need to come outside. There's something you have to see. Jake felt the color drain from his face as he recognized the voice. It was Leo, his childhood friend, someone he hadn't expected to see at this moment. The urgency in Leo's tone sent a chill down Jake's spine. He glanced at Sarah, who appeared just as puzzled. Emily was already rising, curiosity sparking in her eyes. Hold on, Mark interjected, trying to maintain control of the situation. This can wait. We're in the middle of something important here. No, Jake said, standing abruptly. He was torn between the emotional storm brewing inside him and the nagging curiosity about what Leo needed. If it's urgent, then I have to go. The three of them exchanged glances, their faces a mix of concern and confusion. Jake, don't just leave us hanging, Emily urged, her voice caught between desperation and understanding. But his feet were already moving toward the door, propelled by an instinct he couldn't ignore. The bustling cafe faded behind him as he stepped outside, bracing himself against the chilly air. Leo was leaning against a car parked out front, his expression a mix of excitement and skepticism. Jake, you will not believe what just happened, he said breathlessly. What is it? Jake asked, worry brewing in his gut. I just got a call from the investors. They want to talk about your latest project. They're serious, man. This could be huge. Jake's mind raced. This was what he'd been waiting for, a chance to prove himself, to redeem the time he'd lost. But as the thrill washed over him, a nagging thought broke through. Leaving Sarah and Emily felt wrong, like abandoning a crucial part of who he was. Are you serious? He asked, struggling to grasp the magnitude of the news. Dead serious. They're meeting at the old office in an hour. You need to come. Jake hesitated, glancing back into the cafe where Sarah and Emily were still inside, waiting. A part of him wanted to rush back and confront what was left unsaid between them, to explore the complicated emotions swirling in his heart. But there was opportunity knocking, and turning back could mean losing his chance at reclaiming everything he had let slip through his fingers. Jake, come on. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, Leo pressed, sensing the indecision. He took a step forward, but hesitated again, struggling with the weight of the moment. The battle inside him raged on as he stood there. Memories of laughter and tears floated through his mind. Sarah's warmth, Emily's understanding, and the regret of the life he had run from gnawed at him. Leo, let me think, Jake said finally, holding up a hand to stall him. Just then, the door swung open behind him, and he heard Sarah's voice calling out, a mixture of hope and concern. Jake, what's going on? What did Leo want? He turned to see her standing there, her face illuminated by the light from the cafe. Emily was right beside her, and in that moment, everything fell quiet except for the sound of his heart pounding in his chest. It could change everything for me, he shouted back, the need for explanation spilling out in chunks. But then what about us? Sarah's eyes widened, the flicker of understanding flashing in them. Us, or what you want? Jake looked at Leo, then back at Sarah and Emily, the burden of the decision swirling around him. I don't know what that means anymore. The silence stretched, and the air felt electric again. Jake, you have to choose, Emily said gently, her words slicing through his thoughts. What really matters to you? He took a deep breath, searching for clarity. Outside opportunities or the fragile bond he shared with two women who'd stood by him in ways he hadn't truly realized until now. It was a choice between safety and risk, between the past he was afraid of and the future he dreamed of. As the tension escalated, Jake knew he had to decide. His heart raced as uncertainty loomed like a storm cloud overhead, waiting to break. Would he step toward the future waiting for him, or return to confront the tangled emotional web he had tried to escape? With everything hanging in the balance, he found himself whispering, "I'm ready. But what happens if I make the wrong choice?" Jake's heart pounded louder than the thrumming city noise around him. The weight of the moment settled heavily on his shoulders. Leo's hopeful eyes reflected the possibilities, but to his left stood Sarah and Emily, the pillars of his past, quietly waiting for him to make a decision. He felt torn, straddling two worlds that suddenly seemed impossibly distant. "Jake," Sarah breathed softly, her tone both soothing and urgent, as if she understood the firestorm inside him. "You won't lose us, but you have to decide what path you want to take." He felt his throat tighten. The thought of leaving them behind felt like walking away from parts of himself. He had spent too long chasing after goals that were supposed to fulfill him, but now, faced with this choice, he wondered if it was worth it. Did ambition outweigh connection? Did the promise of a brighter future diminish the warmth of love and support? Leo leaned in, sensing Jake's turmoil. "Think about it. This is everything you've dreamed of. The investors believe in you." The urgency in his voice propelled Jake forward yet again, each word a rock thrown into the tumult of his thoughts. I know what it could mean," Jake almost shouted, his voice trembling. He ran a hand through his hair, feeling a storm of emotions rise. "But, Leo, what if I leave them and it's for nothing?" "Jake, listen," Leo pressed, desperation creeping into his voice. "If you don't seize this opportunity, you might regret it for the rest of your life. It's about more than just now. It's about who you want to become." The silence stretched on, a painful moment of contemplation. He turned again, taking in Sarah's worried gaze and Emily's steady support, and he felt torn. Could pursuing his dream mean tearing apart the delicate threads of their bond? What if success changes everything between us? Jake managed, his voice barely above a whisper. The fear that laid heavy in his chest mixed with the hope of a future he had longed for. "What if I'm not the man you think I am?" Sarah took a small step closer, her expression shifting from concern to something softer understanding. "Perhaps. We'll always be here to support you, Jake. But you have to do this for yourself first. If that changes us, then maybe it's for a reason we can't see yet." A flicker of warmth ignited in his chest. Maybe she was right. Maybe this risk was necessary, not just for him but for them as well. Taking this chance could show him who he truly was. "Jake, please," Emily urged, her eyes bright with determination. "Choose what you truly want for once." He felt a swell of gratitude toward them both. They had given him strength even when he was lost. Balancing the dreams he had on one side with the love he felt on the other was maddening but illuminating. Taking a deep breath, he felt clarity envelop him. "Okay, I'm going to meet with them," he began, letting the words hang in the air. The truth was slipping through his fingers like grains of sand. But what if Jake paused, uncertainty creeping back? What if I fail? And just like that, the question loomed large over him again. The fear of failure had haunted him long enough. Would this experience finally set him free or tighten the noose of his self-doubt even more? And then, Jake glanced at each of them, knowing he had to dive into this unknown. But the future was uncertain, and as he took that first step toward the car, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was walking into a trap of his own making. Sarah's voice sliced through the air, stopping him in his tracks. The uncertainty settled over him again, and he felt the weight of hope and dread pounding at his chest. "Just promise us, no matter where this takes you, you'll keep us in the loop." "I promise," he called back, but a question hung unspoken in the air. What if the world waiting for him changed everything he'd ever known? What if he became unrecognizable, even to himself? As he climbed into the passenger seat, the reality of his decision began to sink in. What lay ahead was a whirlpool of possibilities and fears, and for the first time in a long time he was ready to face it all come what may. But as Leo started the engine, an unnerving thought crept in. How far am I willing to go for success at what cost? The road ahead stretched infinite, but the past still awaited him, reluctant to let him go. Jake stared out the window as the city whizzed by. Each block they passed seemed like a reminder of the life he was leaving behind. The electric buzz of the streets felt distant, like an echo from someone else's life. Leo's enthusiastic chatter filled the car, but Jake's mind wandered. Did you hear what I said? Leo's voice rang through the air, pulling Jake back to reality. Yeah, sorry, Jake replied, forcing a smile. Just thinking. Good thoughts, I hope. The truth was, the more he thought, the more he questioned everything. This was his dream, a chance to be something greater. But at what cost? What if the thrill of success evaporated, leaving him with nothing but the price of ambition? As they hit a red light, Leo glanced over. You okay? You seem miles away. Just nervous, I guess. This is a huge step. Of course. But it's a step toward everything you've worked for. Jake's chest tightened. Everything success. Prestige beckoned him like a mirage in the desert. But the further they drove, the clearer the faces of Sarah and Emily became in his mind. Their kindness, laughter, and unwavering belief felt like an anchor amidst the storm. Could he really reconcile these two worlds? When Leo pulled up in front of a sleek glass building that shimmered in the sun, Jake's heart raced. This meeting would define him. It was a moment that could launch him into a new life or crash him down. The stakes felt impossibly high. Remember, Leo said with a grin, you've got this. Just be yourself. Easier said than done. Jake's mouth was dry. As he stepped out of the car, he caught a glimpse of his reflection in the glass, a blend of nerves and determination. They walked through the imposing doors, the atmosphere buzzing with energy. The lobby was filled with well-dressed people bustling to and fro, their faces illuminated by ambition. Jake felt out of place. He wasn't he truly one of them, was he? Come on, big guy. Time to shine, Leo encouraged, nudging him forward. As they made their way up to the conference room, Jake's mind raced through his pitch, rehearsing the key points in his head. But life had its rhythm, and amidst the crowd, he was reminded of where he came from, the small coffee shop where he concocted dreams over steaming cups. Finally, they reached the conference room. It was sleek and modern, walls adorned with art that emphasized success. Jake took a deep breath, centering himself. He felt the weight of expectation settle on his shoulders again. The door opened, and he entered, greeted by a group of serious-looking investors. He checked their expressions, searching for clues about their intentions. But their poker faces only deepened his anxiety. Thanks for having us, Leo began, launching into their presentation. As he spoke, Jake's heart pounded like a drum in his ears. He could feel the tension building. When Leo nodded for him to take over, his throat went dry. Hi, I'm Jake, he started, forcing a smile that faltered under the pressure. He glanced back to Leo, who offered an encouraging nod. Taking a deep breath, he filled his lungs with air and dove into his vision, the one that had burned in him for so long. But as he saw their faces, absorbed in evaluating every word, doubt crept in. Did he have what it took? What if all this ended in disappointment? For a split second, his thoughts wandered back to Sarah and Emily. Would they still be there when he came back? Did they still believe in him? The whispers of fear began to seep in again. What if I fail? Echoed like an unwanted guest. And just as he was about to falter, something shifted inside him. He realized this wasn't just a performance. It was a part of him he needed to share, not only with them but also with himself. Jake steadied his voice, focusing on the fire within. He wasn't just selling a dream. He was sharing a piece of his heart. But as he spoke, he noticed an uninvited tension brewing in the air. One of the investors raised an eyebrow, and Jake could sense a question forming on their lips. What happens if you don't succeed? they asked, their voice steady but cold. Chill swept over him, and as the room fell silent, he knew the answer could change everything. His heart raced, his mind paused. As the weight of the moment settled in, he realized he had to face that question head-on, even if the truth was daunting. Maybe he started, the words feeling heavier than steel. Maybe success isn't just about winning. Just then, Jake felt the ground tremble beneath him, shaking the very core of his resolve. What would he choose when the answer to that question would determine not only his fate but the fate of the people he loved? Jake swallowed hard, feeling the weight of the investor's eyes on him. There was a long pause, a stagnant moment where time seemed to stretch on. The question loomed like a dark cloud overhead, and he could feel beads of sweat forming on his brow. Maybe success isn't just about winning, he continued, his mind racing. It's also about learning, about the people who stand by you while you chase that dream, the ones who pick you up when you fall. As he spoke, a flicker of recognition flashed across the investors' faces. He could see them leaning in, not just listening, but actually hearing him. Jake felt an unexpected rush of courage. It wasn't just about the pitch anymore. It was about laying his heart bare. I'm not perfect. I've stumbled more times than I can count. But I have people in my life who believe in me even when I don't believe in myself. Sarah and Emily, the name echoed in the room. He saw their expressions shift slightly, curiosity intertwining with something deeper. They're my anchors, he added, his voice steadier now. They remind me of what truly matters. Success, to me, is not just reaching the top, but doing it with integrity and love. Jake paused, letting the truth hang in the air. In that moment, he remembered the laughter shared over cups of coffee, late-night talks about dreams and fears, and the unwavering belief Sarah and Emily had in him. Success means sharing that journey, lifting others as you climb. That's how we all grow. He let those last words settle, feeling lighter somehow. It was liberating to acknowledge that this wasn't just about numbers and profit, it was about connection. The investors shifted in their seats, whispering among themselves. Jake held his breath, waiting for their response, the air thick with anticipation. Finally, the lead investor, a woman with piercing green eyes, leaned forward. That's a refreshing perspective, Jake. It speaks to a deeper understanding of leadership. But what if you fail to deliver? How will you cope with that? Jake felt the ground under him shake again, but this time it was a jolt of clarity. Failure isn't the end. It's a lesson. I embrace it as a chance to grow. I learn, adapt, and try again. Sarah and Emily taught me that the journey is often more important than the destination. The investors' expressions remained unreadable, but a shift in the energy of the room felt palpable. There was a quiet tension, charged yet curious, as if they were weighing not just his words but his spirit. He felt a flicker of hope ignite within. Maybe this was exactly what they needed, a voice that wasn't just about profits but about purpose. The meeting progressed, questions flying back and forth, but now Jake felt more at ease. He slowly learned to engage with the investors, turning the pitch into a dialogue, sharing his vision and listening to their insights. By the end of the presentation, Jake was exhausted but exhilarated. They exchanged promises to follow up, a gesture that felt more than just formalities. As they filed out of the conference room, Jake felt Leo clap him on the back, grinning wide. You crushed it, man. See? Just had to be yourself, Leo cheered, his pride infectious. Thanks, Leo, Jake replied, still riding the high of the moment. But as he walked out into the bustling street, he was flooded with doubt. Would they really invest? He couldn't shake the feeling that his words had resonated. Yet the nagging fear returned. What if it wasn't enough? Hey, what's next? Leo asked, nudging Jake back to the present. Jake sighed, glancing back over his shoulder at the building, a mix of anticipation and anxiety churning in his stomach. Let's grab coffee, he said, the familiar warmth of the drink grounding him. I need to process all this. As they headed to a nearby cafe, a thought lingered in Jake's mind, a question that haunted him. If he walked away from this, how would he reconcile his dreams with the life he had left behind? Would he ever truly find a balance? Little did he know, fate had a way of bringing everything into perspective just when he needed it most. What would he discover when he finally faced those truths? Jake sat in the cafe, the comforting aroma of coffee swirling around him, yet he felt distant from the warmth. His mind replayed the meeting's moments, the thrill of connection battling against that nagging doubt. He couldn't fully shake the weight of the past of Sarah and Emily waiting for him. Could he really forge a new future while leaving such significant connections behind? As he sipped his coffee, his phone buzzed. A simple notification. It was a message from Emily. "We're at the diner. Can you meet us?" His heart raced as he stared at the screen. There it was again, that magnetic pull of home. He excused himself, leaving Leo to finish his drink, and walked out into the bustling street. Each step felt heavier, the reality of the decision that lay ahead pressing hard against his chest. The diner emerged in view, a beacon of love and warmth. Entering, he felt the familiar buzz of conversation. It was a bittersweet reminder of the life he nearly walked away from. The warmth of a collective spirit enveloped him like a comforting embrace. And there they were, Emily and Sarah, sitting across from each other in their favorite booth, both wearing expressions that read hope and hesitation. The moment he stepped closer, both women turned to him, eyes bright, catching the light of the diner-esque glow. "Hey, you made it," Emily said, her voice soft and welcoming. But beneath that was a hint of apprehension. "Yeah, I wanted to talk," Jake admitted, sliding into the booth. Between Sarah's look of determination and Emily's warmth, he felt a surge of courage. "I just had a big meeting," he began, "and it made me realize so much about what I truly want." He paused, steeling himself. "But it also made me think about you too, about us." The moment felt suspended, the air thick with expectation. Sarah began, but he cut her off, needing to get this out. "I ran away from Maplewood thinking I was chasing something important. But I see now that I've been running from what mattered most, what grounded me," he confessed, looking at Emily. "You both mean everything to me. I thought success would fill a void, but it only pushed me further away from the love I had." Emily's eyes softened, and Sarah leaned forward, her face alive with concern. "So where do we go from here?" Sarah asked gently, her heart evidently open. "I need to find my way back. Back to you, back to Maplewood, and to who I used to be. I want to reclaim that connection," Jake said, voice steady. "But challenges lay ahead. I know it will take work, and I'm okay with that. I can't promise perfection, but I can promise honesty and effort." Emily whispered, the flicker of hope in her eyes igniting something deep within him. "We'll figure it out together." Across from her, Sarah nodded, a smile creeping onto her face that brightened the entire diner. "And if it's not clear yet, I'm here for you too. We've all grown, but there's still a bridge to cross." He could feel the warmth of their words enfolding him, as if the three of them were at the center of a shared dream, ready to stand together despite the uncertainties. A weight lifted from his shoulders. "I just want us to support each other, whether it leads back to our past or into a new future. Let us be honest about our feelings and where we stand." In that moment, the bonds that tied them together felt stronger than ever. The casual laughter from a nearby booth faded into the background, replaced by the deep understanding forming between them. "I never wanted us to compete," Emily admitted, her voice wavering. "Our connection is too meaningful for that." "Right," Jake agreed, feeling a sense of relief washing over him. "It's about growth and ensuring we're there for each other, no matter where the road takes us." Sarah looked at the two of them, blending memories and moments. "And along the way, we'll cherish what we once had and what we can be again." As laughter erupted in nearby booths, Jake realized that the moment felt right, like a new beginning was unfolding right in front of them. With a physical presence between them, Jake reached out, taking both their hands, a triangle of connection forged through trials and shared heartaches. Together, as they sat comfortably with their worries suspended, he felt an overwhelming sense of relief wash over him, like stepping into the warm embrace of an old friend. That night, they paved the way for the future filled with hopes, laughter, and those reconciled dreams somewhere between love and ambition. The path wouldn't always be clear, but together they would navigate it, secure in the knowledge that no matter where they go, they would never be alone. And just outside the diner, the stars twinkled brightly against the dark sky, each one a promise, a reminder of what is possible when you dare to come home. Now is your moment to seize this emotional journey. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will tug at your heart. Leave a like now to not only feed the algorithm but to show your support for tales of transformation and love. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. We want to hear from you. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation unfold. Don't wait not even one more second. Let us create a community of true fans.